Where are your firm's policies and procedures hiding? Let's find out. So, I am a big proponent of the idea that everybody, whether you've been practicing 6 months or 6 years or 6 decades, everyone's got some default policies and procedures. And the trick is finding them, right? Because a lot of times they're not going to be documented. Maybe they are, maybe they're not, but a lot of times they're not. And so the trick is, where can we find them, right? If they were in a written manual or policy or procedure manual, that might be really easy, right? We walk over to the shelf, we find it in the computer, wherever we're keeping it. But the reality is, most of us don't have it written out, and that's okay. So, where can we find those policies and procedures? Because again, if you've been doing this more than about a couple of months, I think that you have them. I think they're somewhere, and I think that we can find them. So, the first place, of course, we're going to look is if you have something written. That's awesome. But let's start asking your team too, by the way, because they may have documented some things that you don't know about necessarily, just to make their lives easier. And that's a great place to start, right? If any of our team members have written down, some steps on how to do something, anything like that is a great place to start, right? But a lot of times there might be things like checklists. Maybe a checklist is telling us or reminding us how to do something or not to forget something. Maybe there's training manuals, right? Maybe we have some guidance that we either have given to new employees or plan to give on new employees as they come into the firm. And so maybe that's something that we're using, some kind of training materials that are helping them to know what to do and how for us to be able to train them. Another great place to look. Also, I want you to look at time entries on your closed cases, right? If you have a case that is closed, go back and look at that time and those time entries. In fact, if you have 10 cases that have closed in the last year and they were all filing a divorce, right? Let's go to those time entries, take a look. I guarantee it, you're going to find a lot of similarities across those 10 cases. And that's where we can start creating some type of list or some type of procedure on how to do something. So time entries, if you have those, can be very valuable in going back and recreating a process or a procedure that you've done in the past. Now, here's where I think most of our policies and procedures are living, right? They're living in the brains of key employees or in our own brains, right? They are living within our heads. And a lot of times, this is what we call institutional knowledge, right? Maybe it's that paralegal that was your first hire, right? That person's going to know a lot about how you want things done and what you want to do. And so they're a great resource to ask about that. Maybe it's that associate who's running a lot of their own cases. They're going to have some things that they know how to do as well, obviously. But maybe, and most of the time, it's us. It's the firm owners that have these ideas of how they want things done and what they want done in their heads. And a lot of times we have trouble pulling that out of our brains. And that's when we get frustrated, right? Because people come and ask us a lot of questions and we get frustrated with so many questions. If we took the time to go ahead and write those things out or document those somewhere, some way, then we'd have a lot less people asking us questions and we'd have a lot more consistency within our firms, right? If we documented how we wanted things done, then things would happen more consistently within the firm. So definitely go ahead, take some time, sit down, find those time entries, find those checklists, find those training manuals, and make sure that you have the ability to take out the steps and document them somewhere for your team. But that's where they're hiding. They're hiding within your brain and they're hiding within the brains of your key employees. So let's get that information out of our brains so that we can share it with the rest of the team. If you're looking for more tips just like this, feel free to check out our Streamline Legal Plus, where we are offering tips like this every single day to make your firm that much more successful. Thanks so much for joining me tonight. Have a great evening.